Welcome to Connections show. And we call it Hangout on Connections to not confuse it with other people. So it is a forum for relationship expression and healing. And in this episode, it's number 89. We have invited special guest Virginia Parsons, and we're going to talk about the topic Women and Hangouts, a strategy for success. Say hi, Virginia.
Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? It's great to be here today.
Awesome. So let me talk about Connections Forum. We offer insights and healing conversations about relationship, personal expression, and self-development. And we want to give you the tool and inspirations to handle the issues which comes up for anyone sooner or later. And you can watch any past episodes on our replay site, Hangout on Connections. I am Margarita Cristalotis, helping stressed professional women to overcome stress and struggle and discover their purpose in life and business. As an intuitive mentor, a healer, I love seeing my clients flourish when they experience trance at crystallotus.com. So now over to you, Heidi.
Yeah, I'm Heidi Hörnlein, or Adelheid Hörnlein, and first of all, I was a classical singer and a voice coach and a voice therapist, and now I'm a relationship coach too, and for my love, I'm a Hangout host, together with Margarita here, the Connections, and together with my husband, the Wisdom Factory. And I'm also a retreat owner host here in Italy, our big house where we invite you. It's also a guest house where we invite you to come over and stay with us and do courses or whatever you want. See the wonderful Italian Umbrian landscape. It's really beautiful still now here. And our main website is thepowerofrelationship.com. And I think this is enough about me, and I want to talk about you, Virginia. Just a little intro. You are known as the Hangout Mentor, and you teach proven marketing and course creation strategies to help coaches and entrepreneurs reach new heights of visibility, social influence, and success. And your motto is that step out of your shadow and shine. And you are the go-to expert. I have written a little introduction on the site here on the event page, and it's exactly the go-to expert if you want to know how things work. And you also have this show, I think it's a weekly show. I met you about a year ago, the first time there, and it's called the Inspirational Business Women Show. And if you want to add something, Virginia?
Well, Heidi, you've done a great job. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to share my passion. And you know that the term Hangout Mentor really came from, developing my passion over, from the time, not too many months after Hangouts on Air became available. And I discovered it. And at that time, I was doing strictly hypno-coaching. I was a hypnotherapist and life coach. I've been doing that for 25 years. And I thought, gosh, I need to expand. I've got more clients that are coming from greater distances, and I can't work with them all in my bricks and mortar office. So I was trying to figure out a way that I could work with them, And at first, I was doing phone calls with them, but it wasn't satisfactory. So from there, I went to playing around with Skype, and Skype wasn't satisfactory. And then along came Hangouts on Air. And, it was about the same time that my mom was very elderly, and she needed my assistance. So I decided to close down my office after I discovered Hangouts. I closed my office down and moved into my mom's so that I could be there with her during the day. And that was my priority. And yet I still had clients that wanted to work with me, and I was trying to figure out, well, how can I do this? And Hangouts made it doable for me. And not only doable, but I was able to expand so that I could work literally globally. And it's been a passion of mine ever since. And people were asking me, well, will you teach me? Will you be my mentor? And that's how the term Hangout Mentor came along. But I just think it's so exciting because here you are in Italy, right? And Margarita's in Canada. And so we have an international show going on here. And, you know, where else can you do that so effortlessly from each of our individual homes? I'm hanging out from Reno, Nevada, by the way, for those who don't know. So here we are from 3 countries having a conversation. You know, it's like, you know, having for me, my morning coffee. For you, Heidi, your afternoon tea. And it is a great medium. There we go, toasting everybody, in that we can connect and build such powerful relationships with this wonderful free technology from Google. Thank you, Google. I really appreciate their putting this together for all of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. I discovered it about, let's say, 2 years ago when I was invited in an interview. And I had no idea of all that, you know. And the first time I was interviewed and together with Mark about relationship topics. And then I thought, oh, this is something. And then this time I also met Margarita, and we did a course together, which was called the Confident Teleseminar Leader. You know, so where you learn to speak a little. I had a little bit of a hesitation because English is not really my first language. So sometimes I stop and don't find the real words with the words I want to find, you know, and so on. And I really needed it to be more confident, know how to do an introduction, for instance, and all these things. And I met Margarita there, and we decided we want to try out. And our teleseminar mentor said, don't do Google Hangouts, don't, you need to do webinar, blah, blah, you know. And we said, no, we try it out. And it was first a private conversation with the two of us, public, live, but nobody came in until about a year ago. We thought, yeah, maybe we should change our ideas, and we began to invite guests. And since then, it is much more fun, and we learn a lot. And yeah, it has opened up.
Well, you know, I think
it's
a great place to experiment with all the things that you can do. Now, I think, you know, for just communicating just like this across the world, what better platform can you have? And, you know, the thing I love about Hangouts is you have the flexibility to make it totally private. That's what drew me to it, because as a coach, and especially doing things like working with someone's subconscious and helping them overcome resistant, you know, patterns and belief systems, that's private stuff. It's not for anyone else but you and the person that you're working with. So that is one of the reasons I fell in love with Hangouts, because it gave you that flexibility to make it private or unlisted or public. And it sounds to me like what you were doing at first was just communicating and sharing the ideas you'd gotten from your training, and decided, well, wow, we have a lot to offer. And that's a lot of my philosophy, and the whole reason I say step out of your shadow and shine as the go-to expert is that we all have gifts. We all have talents and expertise. And there's other people out there looking for that. They need what you have. But if they don't know about you, if you're the best kept secret, then you're not getting your gifts out to the world in a way that you could, that could help transform more people's lives. But with this type of technology, it's available to you. So you've got to move beyond, you know, teleconferences and teleseminars into this medium, because this is the way the world works today. We are a visual medium, and even more than just being a video medium, which is something that's pre-recorded. We are a live medium. We like, you know, what we got 24/7 news now, which I think is not healthy. But, you know, the point is people want it. They want it now. They want it live. They want it interactive. And that wasn't available before this platform came along. So I think it's great that you took your time that you were communicating with each other and said, wait a minute, we've got some great stuff here to share with the world, and you decided to do a show. So bravo.
Yeah. Thank you. What I want to add or say in this point is it is a video medium and it's wonderful, but it's probably also for that especially women who are a little bit, in invisibility, don't really want to go there because they are seen. And we have a collective past, thousands of years where we were not really in public. So I think you say you have this business women show, so it's about women, and I think women have a different how do you say, a different step to do to really become visible, to really not only audible. When you only talk into your telephone, you can do a whole lot of other things, and you can even read the text, but on Hangouts you see if I read or not. So you really need to overcome all these invisibility issues, and I think I want you to talk about this. For women, is it your experience that it is more difficult than for men?
Well, I think you make a valid point, and that is that, let me give you an example. Men will come on air, they won't shave, they put a ball cap on and jump on. Now, I wasn't about to do that to you. So it's partly my ego that says, I do want to get in the shower, I want to get freshened up, I want to put a little makeup on, and I want to look my best. That is a female perspective more than it is a male perspective, no doubt about it. But I do think it's also, it relates to women's sense of self and their mindset and probably belief systems that go way, way back about, seen but not heard, serve but, don't step out and be the main person. And so I think we all have to give each other permission and encouragement that it is all right. And here's why. Here's why this is so important. Women are the best nurturers, supporters, and communicators out there. Yay, Margarita's got her thumbs up. That's what we're so good at. And we have to give ourselves permission, which is what I did. Look, this is not a medium that's natural for me. I've never been on camera before I started doing Hangouts. I had to give myself permission to say, I have something of value that serves other people. And since women come from this place of serving and nurturing and supporting, we need to take that and use it to our advantage. And that is saying, I need to be out there because I can make a difference. We're great difference makers, and yet until we say, it's all right, I can step out of my shadow and bring my gifts to the world, and it's good that I do that. It's good that I play bigger rather than smaller. That's how we get this movement going. It's the whole point I became the Hangout Mentor. It wasn't because I decided to become the Hangout Mentor as much as I was encouraged by other women who said, I want to learn to get myself out there the way you have been brave enough to do it. And believe me, I've made a lot of mistakes, and that's how you also learn. And, stumbled over my words and tried to figure out how to make the technology work while I was delivering valuable content. That's all part of the process. But it starts with, I feel good enough about who I am, and what I can offer to the world to say, yes, I can get in front of a camera and feel good about it and not be so shy and bashful. And the other thing I'm going to add is I had a gal on my show, and what we were talking about was being an introvert and still pushing yourself past your comfort zone to say, I can do this. Well, here's the nice thing about doing a Hangout versus getting up on stage and speaking, where you see all those people out in front of you. Now that's intimidating. But if you can develop a relationship with your camera, and I'm really sincere when I tell you this, you must decide to fall in love with your camera. And the reason being is it is your window to your audience. So when you decide my camera's my best friend, and on the other side of that camera are all sorts of other wonderful people and friends and people that I care about who also accept me for who I am, and that I'm not perfect, I'm just doing the best I can out there, and you put that mindset together, this is actually much easier than being a public speaker.
I think you are totally right about that, because when I first went on camera on my first broadcast, and I had the backup recording in case the technicality got wrong, right? And I said to my webmaster, "No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Put the recording on." I just folded down, and I was shaking. I was like so nervous. I still remember it, and that was 2 years ago in November, maybe exactly 2 years ago. I cringed. My stomach was like, oh, it's like I got cold sweat, and I just like, oh no, I can't do it. So he put on the recording, and then I saved my life that way. But I hope not everyone has that experience.
Margarita, you did it the hard way, and also Virginia, you fall in love with your camera. I think with Hangouts, this is no need, because we can talk together. It's enough that I fall in love with you on the other side, with the person with whom I speak, and so the camera I can completely forget. So this is the very, very...
You can forget the camera, but you shouldn't. And here's why. And a little trick that I do, just to let everyone know, I do not have my Hangout open in full screen. I have my Hangout shrunk down and moved right up underneath my camera. So now I am seeing you while I'm talking to you, Heidi, and I'm also got the camera right there. So what I mean about fall in love with your camera is it's an important tool. And if you're just looking at the other person as you're talking, which is a normal conversation and totally natural to do, but you've got the whole big screen open, it really appears to the other person as though you're looking down. And it's a subconscious thing. It's subconsciously, I'm looking down at the people I'm talking to. So that's why I say the camera is important. I'm not saying you should dwell on it. It needs to become second nature to look at it and at the same time be seeing the person you're talking to. And once you've got that down, yeah, it doesn't even, you're not even aware you're looking at the camera anymore. It's sort of there, but you have to become comfortable enough with it, second nature enough with it, that it doesn't get in the way. So you are having this natural conversation. So both points well made.
You're right. You're right, and we are waiting for Google to put the camera, or not Google, for Macintosh or whoever, put the camera right here in the middle of the screen, so that we have not to watch.
Yeah.
There.
Well, they haven't figured that out yet.
No. But there is Carmen, there is Melanie, another great Hangout mentor and how can you say, service provider for practicing Hangouts. You have done a great job. You are still doing a great job, Melanie, and thank you that you are here.
Hey, Melanie, good to see you. Although I can't see you right now, but I know you're there. I can see it in the background.
Yeah, and that we can go to this other part. It is also technically, I mean, we have to learn a little bit about Hangouts. At the beginning, things don't seem to work and you think, oh, Google today, but but often it's because we don't know it. And I personally took the Hangout Mastery class by Ronnie Binzer to learn how to handle this whole thing. And that, I think, why at the beginning men were a little bit more present as Hangout hosts, while now we have caught up, haven't we?
Yes, we have. And, here's what I say about the tool. You have to understand, it's very early in the morning here for me, so if I cough a little bit, just clearing the old throat. It's a tool, and we mentioned this a little bit before the show started. It's a fabulous tool. Now, in the beginning, you have to understand, Google was improving it constantly. They were making shifts and continual improvements to it. They're still improving it and changing things, but not at the same rapid rate. So there were periods where, boy, you'd think something was working, and next thing it's not working. And that's all part of them providing a better and better tool for us. So I never let that bother me. I just learned to work with it. But here's the other thing. It's about moving from being what I call consciously feeling incompetent with using the tool to a point of feeling unconsciously competent using the Hangout tool so that you can focus on delivering good content. And that only comes with getting in there and practicing. And the beautiful thing about Hangouts on Air is they give you the opportunity to practice without hitting start broadcast. We call that the green room. That is coming into the Hangout. The three of us were in the Hangout prior to starting the broadcast, making sure everything was working, everything was up and running correctly, and had a chat. Well, that's the beauty about that versus a lot of other broadcast mediums that are popping up out there right now. I mean, you just plain got to go live, right? From the time that you start. So they've given us so much more with this tool. I call this tool the most robust platform that we have for live streaming broadcast. Now, of course, YouTube, it even comes close to the power of this particular technology that they've handed to us on a silver platter and said, help yourself, totally free. That's really powerful to me. So it's worth, hey, think of the things we all pay a lot of money for that still don't work that well in technology. And they're updating it constantly, right? The next version comes out. They're giving this to us. And so how can we complain if once in a while there's a few quirks in it? And what I say, the squirrels are out today playing with Hangouts because it's constantly getting better for us, and we don't have to pay a thing for all these updates. It's so powerful.
This is so very true. It's so very, very, very true. We cannot. There is a saying in German. When you get a horse, somebody gives you a horse, you don't open the mouth. So because you can see the age of the horse by their teeth. So when you get this gratis, if sometimes something doesn't work so well, But, the thing is, if you are still, let's say, incompetent and rely on that everything works sort of magically, and then something comes up and then there comes the anxiety, and what shall I do, and blah, 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 and, but with experience, you just know what to do and don't get into panic mood and just stay calm and do what you need to do. And that's why it's really important to learn this. And you said, I think it's true, that it won't be substituted by the other live streaming tools because they are just different. For instance, when we talk about Blab, you are immediately live and people can see you, and it has another atmosphere, while this here is more serious, let's say. We have a better seriosity, we have also more professionality, which is possibly here, which is probably on many other platforms not possible. And we have a lot of choices, not of possibilities. Most people don't even know it. They just click on start button and stop button, but they don't know what they can do with this. And unless you learn it, you don't know it. No?
So. Well, that's exactly correct. And that's why I started Hangout Marketing You. Because there are so many ways you can use Hangouts to brand, grow, and market your business. It is not just having a show. As a matter of fact, I don't recommend anybody start with having a show. I think that that's a little more advanced if you're going to do it in a professional manner. But if you just think about, as I said before, how you can get into the green room and just fool around and learn how to use the tools that they've given us that accompany this platform and get comfortable with it, there are so many more things you can do with it. And let's talk for a minute about webinars, which were considered the ultimate a couple years ago. I think webinars are still very powerful and used for providing good content and creating a buzz around what it is that you're offering, but you're missing the connection piece with a traditional webinar. Now with Hangouts, you can use screen share and bring up a webinar, but you're still missing a little bit of connection, but you can connect before, right? You can visually be there, talking, connecting, responding to your audience, which is so important, engaging with your audience, as you just did, recognizing that they're here, thanking them for being here, taking their precious time to be here. You can do all that and be on screen. That's why that camera connection is so important. Then you can bring up a webinar and a screen share. You know, we don't have those capacities at this point available on the other platforms such as Blab. They are much more informal. They're perfectly great platforms. I use them myself, but you don't have that capacity. Now, I have an additional capacity because I use a broadcasting medium called XSplit, and I can bring up lots of scenes, and as a result, I can actually put the webinar up over my shoulder and at the same time be on screen, and that's powerful because you can also end up doing a PowerPoint, which is what a webinar would be used from. You can use a PowerPoint and end up mesmerizing people or putting them to sleep if you don't watch the tone of your voice and everything, because they're just looking at pretty much a non-animated presentation. Well, boring. So when you can add your personality, your connection to the audience with your camera, being on camera the whole time, and get comfortable with that, and still have a PowerPoint over your shoulder, you've got even a better connection process. So when I go over to do something like in Blab, when we're talking about being comfortable or not, and worried because something goes wrong, because I'm now doing a lot of simulcasting. So Blab will be on, and the Hangouts will be on, or maybe Periscope will be on, and I'll be, often several other simulcast mediums. I tell the audience, hey, we're just experimenting here. I don't know if I'm going to blow something up or freeze. Hang with me. We're going to figure it out. And in the process, I'm getting the audience a chance to say, look, this is not about perfection. This is about learning, playing with the platforms, playing with the tools, and finding out how far we can push the envelope. How far can we go with this technology to provide, good quality content and conversation? So I love getting vulnerable with the audience. I laugh my way through it because why not? But you can't take yourself too seriously here. You really can't. And people are more comfortable if you're comfortable with not being perfect. You're just comfortable with doing the best you can and sometimes fumbling around. I don't find that anyone has a problem with that. Have you had that issue at all, Heidi or Margarita?
No. I think we always had a good reception, no, with people liking that we are here, no, live as we are, strange, talking our accent language. Margarita, over to you.
I have a question. It's burning in my mind. You talked about this software that's sitting up the slides or another thing there. Can you repeat what that was? I'm extremely interested in that.
It is called XSplit, XSPLIT. You actually can get a free version of it where you have 4 scenes. I have the premier version, which is not expensive, and I don't have any affiliate with them. And it is a way of putting up several scenes. Now, on my own show, I'll just give you an example. Here is a thumbnail that I just bring up very quickly that talks about my new course, Advanced Hangout Livestream Marketing Blueprint, which teaches people how to use XSplit and teaches people how to simulcast. That's an XSplit scene. The next XSplit scene, look at how quickly I can change. This is, the thing I've got for my show, just showing the show. Then I can bring videos up very quickly. You can see I can bring my scene up from my show. Now I'm in a broadcast studio.
That's just magic.
Yeah, it is, and you know what? It makes it so much easier to run a show and move from scene to scene. That's why I'm teaching this. People asked me, gosh, 8 or 9 months ago, would you please teach me how to use XSplit? And I was so busy, I just didn't get the program together. So now I've combined the program with simulcasting so that people can learn how to use XSplit and learn how to simulcast using Blab and Periscope, and then also how to take a broadcast like we're doing right now and put it out over multiple platforms, all live. Like, why shouldn't we be live streaming on LinkedIn? I live stream on LinkedIn. Why not live stream on Facebook? this is leverage. This is true Google leverage. And as a result, you are reaching so many more people. You're going beyond Google world, you're going beyond YouTube world, you're getting out into Twitter land where there's wonderful people to connect with. You're connecting over on Facebook, you're connecting on LinkedIn, and wherever else you might choose to put the broadcast, which might even be embedded onto your own website, by the way, where you can drive traffic directly to your website. So the XSplit tool that I use is just that. It's another tool that sort of wraps right around the Hangout and gives me the capacity to provide even better content more efficiently, even much more efficient than screen share, because with screen share you've got to move in and out and choose which screen you're going to show, and with a program like XSplit you have the ability to set it up ahead of time and just click, click, click and move right on through all the different things that you want to offer to the audience. So I love it.
So there are several questions. One is from Cherie Valentine. Can you put a link for the XSplit? Yes, I think you will. And I have a question. I know about Manicam, and I bought it, but it doesn't work with neither with Macintosh nor with the Google Chromebook, which I'm now using. So is XSplit compatible with Macintosh?
Good question, and no, unfortunately it's not. So you have to be, you have to like your Windows computer. It works on anything from Windows 7 through Windows 10, but it does not at this time, and I'm not sure that they'll ever make it available and compatible with Macintosh. I think there's others, but I'm not familiar with them because I'm not a Mac girl. But I think I've heard of ScreenFlow and a few others that might do the similar thing. What I love is these scenes. They're so easy to set up, and you can multi-layer them. I mean, in the scene you see me in now, it's just a 2-layer scene. But in some of the scenes, I have 3 and 4 layer. And you can quickly share an URL, which is kind of nice if you want to be able to go out and talk about and show somebody through the scene. You have the URL all set up, and you just click on it, and you can show people how to use something on the internet. So it's just an efficient way to work, and so I encourage it. But yeah, you have to be a PC gal or guy.
I'm not, and I wouldn't do it only for that. I wouldn't change Macintosh to PC back.
Oh, I know. Once you're gone there. Although originally I was a Mac gal way back in the early days before PCs had become as sophisticated as they have. And then once I switched over to PCs, I saw no reason to go back to Mac. But I was like you. I was like, I will never leave my Mac.
Well, but, I love PCs. I love PCs because you can do so much more, and you understand how it works with Apple. I mean, I have iPads and iPhones. It's very difficult to understand what's actually going on underneath. But if you understand what's going on underneath with the program, well, that's how it does, and I can influence it. With Apple, you can't. You have to just follow their easy feed, which is good sometimes.
Well, it all depends on what you're used to, isn't it? I mean,
yes.
We get comfortable with our technology, girls. We do. So, Heidi, I'm sorry that you can't use XSplit, but for anyone who's a PC lover, and if you want, I'll give you a link later on to the course if you want to check it out. But it is great training. And the reason I was glad I waited to do this training was because Periscope didn't exist, Blab didn't exist when people first were begging me to teach this. And now they're there, and they're a whole other medium that you can use. You can use it with XSplit. You can use it, as a matter of fact, XSplit's very handy for that, because when you go to Blab, there's no way to brand yourself. It is truly a blabbing conversation, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I like to blab. But you cannot brand yourself, and I think it's important to be able to brand yourself. So, with XSplit, you can come on over with your lower third and be branded, especially because when you do a blab and people are live, at least they can see who you are, and there's a little corner image, an icon that identifies who you are. But when the recording's done, I mean, when you're done, and if you've chosen to record it so that people can watch it in replay mode, which people do all the time, then there's no branding. They don't even know who you are unless you tell them your name. So I think Blab will hopefully correct that, but right now XSplit solves that problem.
I'm going to for sure try it out to see if it works. And then there's another question here about the Webinar Jam that Cherie asked. What's your, I mean, I'm a Webinar Jam fan. I have had it since the very beginning. But what's your opinion about Webinar Jam and that software, Virginia?
I've had it since the very beginning, too. I'm grandfathered into it. And I don't really use it much. Originally, the reason I used it was because it gave you the ability to have a link that people could go to if you wanted to send them to a link real easily without them having to write the link down and type it in themselves. I loved that. But that was solved with Hangouts. They came up with the ability to have links there. But, you know, I'm not going to down Webinar Jam. I think it's a great tool. It's another wrapper for a Hangout. I've just figured out how to use Hangouts really efficiently. Now, the other thing with Webinar Jam is that you can collect emails and make sure that they register. That's a good thing, and you can put it into your autoresponder. So there's great things you can do with Webinar Jam. I'm just not finding that it's necessary for most of the work that I'm doing. It's truly taking a Hangout and turning it into a webinar. That's really what it's doing, collecting the emails and giving you the ability to provide links and all that kind of thing. But here's one of the reasons I don't use it. I want to provide valuable content to as many people as possible. As soon as you start to use the Webinar Jam wrapper, you're now limiting who sees you. Why? Because you're asking them to register. Now, I have no problem with collecting emails, but I think that people are hesitant. We are so inundated with emails. It's just gotten to the point that people are in overwhelmed mode with emails, and they're just not giving out their emails as easily as they used to. So my intention with my show is to touch as many women's lives as I can, is to inspire, give them good content, and let the people who I'm interviewing get the exposure, because there's so many great, powerful women out there, and I want people to find out about them. And if I'm going to limit their ability to find out about them because I'm asking them to register, then that's defeating my purpose and my intention. So, you know, to each his own. If you want to collect emails and make people register, so be it. It's certainly fine if you're doing, you know, paid content or something that's leading to paid content, then I think it makes sense. There is another program that is also a wrapper that I do like and I use more often, and that is called Easy Webinar. And the thing I like about Easy Webinar is that you can turn it into an evergreen webinar. So once you've created a presentation, you can now make this evergreen and people can come to it, but they are registering for it at the same time. But they can come and you can set up when they can watch it, and it to them feels like they're watching it live, but they're registering for a time and date that they're going to come in and watch this particular webinar, and you can keep it going as long as you want. So that's a nice tool that I do use in combination with Hangouts. It works really well. But in all honesty, Hangouts does it all by itself. So these are just add-ons to me. They don't take the place of.
I have a question there for you. How do you collect email addresses on Hangout?
I don't. That's the point I'm making. I just want to get it out to the public. So if I wanted to collect emails, then I would be making them have to register through some kind of a Hangout wrapper, such as Webinar Jam, such as Easy Webinar, and even Crowdcast. Now, Crowdcast is kind of a nice one, but unfortunately, and that's a free technology where you can ask people to register or not. You have the flexibility, but Crowdcast is now going to be putting out their own live streaming platform, and they're not going to be using Hangouts down the road. So I liked Crowdcast a lot. I also liked it because it's something that people can use and watch via mobile and still do the commenting. Because with Hangouts, you can watch it via mobile with the YouTube link, but there's no way for you to comment. So Crowdcast solved that problem. But if they're going to go away from Hangouts, they're not, at this point, taking me with them. I'm a Hangout gal.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we switch over to a question about why are you going to be on a public medium like Hangouts? What is the reason why you should do it? I mean, you've said something about come out of the shadows, but can we be a little bit more specific? Why is it so important that people actually, especially women, express themselves on this Hangout? And what is their purpose? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I would love to. I'm going to divert first, and then I'll come back to what you have asked. And the reason being is that I don't want people, and women in particular, to think that the only way to use a Hangout on air is to have a show. That is the last thing that they should think about doing. The first thing that I really recommend they think about doing is using the Hangout to get their expertise out there with a series of tips. So I do Hangout mentor tips. Anything that you can do that's short. With a show like this, and even my show, which is short, is that people are busy, so they can't get to them, or they'll say, well, I have to watch that later. Well, if you do a series of tips, what I call quick tips, that are anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes, and I say under 5 is even better, about something that you're already passionate about, that you already know inside and out because it's part of your expertise, and you use Hangouts to film that, you don't even need to do it publicly yet. You can go into a Hangout, hang out with yourself, call this an unlisted one, press the Start Broadcast button, create that tip, it automatically gets loaded onto your YouTube channel. Now you go into your YouTube channel and take it from an unlisted to a public, and now you've got it available for the public to start to get to know you, who you are, so they can start to feel like they have a relationship with you, that they can start to trust you. And then you take those quick tips and you start posting them all over social media. And I mean even to Pinterest. You know, Pinterest has a way for you to click and take people right back and create a little pin with a link right back to your YouTube quick tip, and there you are, developing relationship and sharing your expertise. You can do this without doing a, you're doing a live broadcast, but you're the only one that's seeing it because you're the one creating it. So you can relax. If you make a stumble, you can say cut and start again, and then when you get it over into YouTube, you can edit it and cut out the problems you have, and it's your piece of media to share with the public. Now, granted, it's not live for immediate interaction, but it's a great way to get started. So from there, I have a whole training on how to create courses using Hangouts on air. This is how I train. I train through Hangouts. They're live courses, and then they become evergreen courses. It's very powerful what you can do with this medium. So when I say step out of your shadow and shine, I don't mean go out and produce a show right away. That's a lot. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. You've got to find the right guests if you're going to do an interview format. A good friend of mine, Cherie Valentine, does a short little show. She calls it the Tappy Break, and it's just 15 minutes. And she lets people come into the show, so that they can respond to how they experience the tappy things that she is teaching. Yeah, there's Cherie. Hi, Cherie. And she only does it for 15 minutes, and I think that's great. So I guess my point is, gals in particular who are feeling, like you want to stay back in the shadow, there's many ways to use this technology that's powerful, that helps you step out of your shadow, get out into the public, share your gifts with the world, and give and be of service. That's what we do best. So it's not about doing a show.
That is great. And so thank you, Virginia, that we are able to talk together, as you said, over the continents and about what we love. And I completely agree with you that we also started out as that giving our expertise as far as we can. Now Margarita has created a course with Hangouts and a painting, no, not painting, drawing, no, instant drawing course, and it's very great. And she's using Webinar Jam for a while, and she also, I know there is a automated webinars there too, so people who use already Webinar Jam can stay there. I think, Margarita, you better talk to that. You know it firsthand. And then we are sort of at the end of our show, but let us still talk about that and what you are doing, Margarita, now.
Okay, so we just started a course, how to do instant drawing to express the feelings inside of a safe container, and then you draw it. It's very easy. We had the first coaching session yesterday, in which I did this one. And we had a small number of participants. We set a specific number, and then we gained that number of participants, and that's kind of cool. So I'm very excited about that, and I use the Hangout, the unlisted Hangout, like you said, Virginia, to do it with my co-teacher Scott Marshall. And what was the other question? A Webinar Jam. Yeah, they have an evergreen option as well that I've used quite well. But you know, I'm very, very excited, and my takeaway from this episode is like, I learned so much from you, Virginia. Thank you so very much. And I wanted to see, before Heidi says her takeaway, I want to ask you, what is your takeaway here, and how can people connect with you?
Thank you, Margarita. Well, my takeaway is what I have been saying to people all along. Just play with it. Play with this technology. And here's why I think it's important that you just go play with it, and why it's so safe to do it, because remember, you can go into the green room and play before you have to push that live broadcast button. And also remember, the first time you push that live broadcast button, maybe 1 or 2 people will watch. It's not enough to get too panicky about. Although I will say, the first time I did a live broadcast, my heart was beating as well. My mouth was pasty, you know, it's just part of the stress. But here's the thing. This technology is not going away. It is only going to get better. It's only going to become more robust and powerful. If you do not get on this wave and ride it now, you could be left behind. You really will. It could end up just standing back in your shadow. And I don't think you deserve that. I don't think anyone deserves that. We all have gifts. We all have talents. We all have ways of supporting, and there's other people out there looking for what you offer. Believe me, they're looking and waiting, and they don't know about you. And so give yourself permission to step out of your comfort zone, take a risk, play with this technology, discover how it can work for you, and as a result, you can end up making a big difference in the world. But you've got to get on this wave. This wave ain't going away. This wave is just getting bigger. You need to give yourself permission to get onto the wave. That's my big takeaway and advice to everyone. And as far as getting in touch with me, hangoutmarketingu.com, which you can see right there underneath me, is a great way to get in touch with me. I do offer a free Hangout marketing checklist, where you can learn, and I've actually added some of the other live streaming platforms to that checklist, so you can see how to get the word out about what you're doing. So that's available to you. And then if you gals wanted to take what I posted in chat and post that in the comment section, that would be great, because that is the course I'm currently teaching, and you certainly can join me in that if you want to learn about how to use XSplit and how to do simulcasting. with all the different mediums, now's the time to jump in and take advantage of that as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so Heidi, will you say the last words here?
The very last words. I could say many last words and nothing, because we have really touched on everything, and I could only repeat what Virginia says, that this is a great way to step over the shadow we have. And what I especially heard is there is the danger that we are left behind. And you know, especially when we are, let's say, over 40, there is for women the tendency to say, oh, the life is over, sort of, you know. Younger women probably step into these things more easily because they are already grown up with technology, but older women, and I think especially for us, it's a big challenge, but we need to do it, because the older we are, probably the wiser we are, and we have even more to give out, and otherwise it's dying with us. And this is a great technology that we can use to get out, and who wants to listen to us will listen to us, and who doesn't want to, that's it. Okay, this is my last word, and thank you, Virginia. It was really a pleasure to have you on, and have a good time with your new course. I cannot come because I don't leave Mac to learn this, but I really hope that we will have such a, because when I started out my Wisdom Factory show, I wanted to do all these things, you know, these intros and trailers and all. Perfect. I was perfectionist, but I learned I cannot be it with Macintosh, but I love my Macintosh. So thank you, and see you soon. And Margarita, thank you too. And everybody, Cherie, and who else was here? Melanie, and I don't know the other people who haven't shown up in the comment stream and who will watch us later. Thank you for being here, and let us know what you think about it. And if you need a little help to get out of your comfort zone, you know, it feels so cozy at home, and we have to dare something. And if you want to have somebody who holds your hand, Margarita and myself, we are ready to do that. Okay? Bye-bye.
Yes.